Ah, yeah, look at this. Maybe the dude wasn't so bad after all, Jackie went excitedly, as she rubbed away on the big skull. Saf was helping out with the final cleaning. The ants had done a brilliant job, but even so, a final clean and a bit of polish was needed. They were down in the workshop. The sun was nearly down, so it was only really Shiva, Tink and Adita who were still working. Oh yeah, this is going to look sweet up on the wall in the Grand Hall. It's going in the Grand Hall, right? Saf questioned, as she rubbed a bit more wax on her cloth. It's going to shine. Damn right. It won't fit in the bedroom, I checked. Tom would hit his head on it in the morning. Ah, poor guy. You know it. Gods, he was fucked this morning. But hey, maybe this'll cheer him up. Look. That's where I stuck the shotgun in. I blew a hole at the base there. Saf craned her head over to have a look, and there was indeed a hole with a bit of cracking in the bone around it, leading into the brain case. Oh yeah. Gods, he had a shit day. Same with my gun. Tom wants to fix it. I want to mount it below the skull as part of the trophy. The second time a gun has tried to take my hand off. She chuckled, as she stuck a finger in the hole, feeling around a little with a reminiscing smile on her face. Not gonna lie, it would look pretty badass, but those guns are a bit too valuable to just hang on the wall, you know. I know, but it's a damn dragon. That's gotta be worth it. We'll see. It is bloody cool, though. We want to shine the horns too? Pfft, of course, Jackie replied, getting up and going to the shelves to start looking through the various pots and jars. I do have some metal polish, if that would work, Adita questioned, as she looked up from her work at the filing bench, though I have not tried it on horn or bone before. I think we'll just stick to what we know works, Saf replied with a gentle nod, but thank you. Of course, came the reply, as the artificer once more engrossed herself in her work. Saf didn't even know what she was making, but it was probably some sort of tool or something. It sure looked too fancy to be for the warehouse. With a bit more work, the whole skull shone. The backplate would have to come later, but for now, it was looking fantastic. Right, let's go show it off before they get called down for dinner, Jackie went, throwing a glance out the window, the red shimmer on the horizon, betraying that they were about to run out of light. Oh yeah, dinner. I need to get this done, Adita spoke up, fiddling with her goggles, a bright white light coming on and illuminating her work. I'll be here if anyone asks. Don't miss the bell this time, Saf joked, as she got up to help Jackie carry the skull. It was a rather ungainly thing, after all. I can't wait to see the looks on their faces, Jackie joked, as she opened the door with her foot, using her tail to steady herself. Or all the traders and travellers. You get to spin a story now. That too. And you think that's real? That actually happened? Tom questioned, as the puma finished reciting enthusiastically as ever. He had only just finished the day's lessons with the kids, handing them over to Essie for some flying practice before dinner time, but the old man did not seem tired in the slightest. Well, it is hard to say, of course, but someone did bother to write it down. Right, Tom replied, not feeling overly convinced. And Wikipedia is pure gospel. What's the matter? Do you doubt wild creatures can show kindness? The old lawmaster questioned, seemingly not taking Tom's side in this discussion. A puma did have a tendency to regard his books quite highly. No, I just doubt that a pack of wild predators would bother returning a child-shaped snack to a place they probably don't know it came from. Seems a bit much, doesn't it? A Nolika is quite intelligent. I remember another tale of a keep who used them to guard their prisoners. Of course, it ended in tragedy when a child elected to play with the beast. I believe it is supposed to be a cautionary tale for any place that keeps such creatures. But in the tale, it could even do tricks. Quite amusing, if I say so myself. I suppose so, Tom replied, looking at the crude drawing, which didn't look anything like what was in the Draconic Sorcery book. The two were clearly completely separate calibers of work. The colour was about right, and There was something at least resembling scales on the thing's back, like an armoured back predator someone might expect for a motorcyclist. But overall, Apuma's book reminded him more of one of those medieval paintings they sometimes ran at pop quiz nights. The ones where you had to guess what the medieval monk had tried to portray. It was often very hard indeed. Oh, don't get hung up on the depictions. It is, charming, Apuma mused, looking upon the pages. I am sure the artists did their best. Either that, or they were high as a kite while drawing it, Lancaster added with a huff. It is shoddy workmanship. Then the sound of the double doors opening had them all turning to look. Investigator Paulin waltzing in, Glaz steadfast at her side as per usual. Tom's shoulders sagged a touch at the sight. You know, I had almost forgotten you were here for a moment. I see someone is engrossed in reading. Things are coming along well outside. How goes things in here? Paulin started, in the entirely unnatural, friendly tone that she had adopted quite frequently ever since Jelina's departure. Her expression did dull a little, as she laid eyes on the book they were reading, likely expecting it to be her book which had them all so interested. Indeed, we thought it prudent to try and fill some of Tom's many holes in regard to his knowledge and understanding of our world, Apuma responded, with only the slightest hint of distaste showing through in his voice. The investigator walked up to have a peek at said book, Glaz remaining at an almost comfortable distance. Interesting choice, I must say, but either way, I bring news of all sorts. Oh, tell, the old man inquired, turning on the bench to face her a little better. Lancaster also peeked up, her ears betraying her interest. We have received word that the next door is soon to be openable, a few days at most. They have successfully managed to bypass the enchantments upon it without permanently damaging the previous vault. Unlike some. She, for some reason, elected to give Tom a rather hard stare at that one. He had only supplied the explosives. Sapphire had set them off, and Twitch had helped make the stuff, so he was hardly responsible for that slightly singed door. That is very good. I would not mind being there to witness the opening. I must admit, I'd hope the process would be faster. We are of a similar mind in that vein, Lord Master, but the preservation of the vaults outweighs the cost in time. Of course. Are we to make any preparations for departing, or...? Not quite yet, but I do believe we want you all free there for it. Now, I have spoken with Glera. I understand Lancaster was not able to persuade either Fengi to change her mind, or Sapphire to assist in the matter? What matter? Tom questioned, glancing between Lin and Apuma. Both looked a touch uncomfortable. Fengi has elected that Adril is allowed to say no to partaking in your keep studies of draconic magics. I must admit that was not something I foresaw, but as has been made quite clear, it is an internal matter to the keep. The Nook was quite assertive in that. You talked with Mother too? Lancaster questioned, sounding conflicted on what she thought of that. Of course, Fengi is one of her subjects. Normally I would instruct her to comply for the good of all, but alas, I cannot do so here, it seems. No matter, there is a solution. Glera is more than willing to do her part to serve, with some incentives, Paulin continued, sounding like the last part had been a considerable concession on her part. Give her some time to rest following a hard day's work, and I am sure she'll be able to satisfy your requirements once the drill is fit to fly the logs for Jougs to soar, or vice versa, we shall see. Oh, splendid. That way we don't need to upset Fengi, Apuma broke out, seemingly finding it a perfect solution. Oh, I am ever so excited. Tom took a moment to mull over just what sort of incentive the Inquisition could give Glera that she actually wanted. There was money, of course. Hopefully it had just been money. Indeed. Would you like to witness their workings out? If you are so inclined towards studying of magic. Sounds good, Tom blurted out, having been caught mid-thought. Excellent. Though I am curious, are you not needed elsewhere at the moment? With construction back underway, I'm sure they have plenty to work on, and I would rather not touch Tink and Twitch's personal project. In fact, on that note. Yes. Might be a good idea to build a shed somewhere a little away from everything for that sort of work. You know, in case they mess it up. I see. I suppose that shall be added to the construction plans. If the weather holds, perhaps we can even manage it before winter hits, Pauline replied, not seeming dismissive of the idea. Tom knew as well as her that things might end up right on that front though. But if it came to it that it was too cold, he could maybe even cobble something together himself. Then the door opened once more. The whole group had now 5 people turning to see Jackie and Saf come waltzing in, carrying a massive skull, big smiles on their faces. Those lasted until they saw who was present, aside from Lancaster, Tom and a puma, the 2 of them coming to an abrupt stop. Jackie gave a chin-up nod to Glaz. Sup? It had been a good day's work. All the holes were dug, there were beams in them, and the bottom ends had been charred and everything. So they had taken a little midday break. It was hard work, that was for sure, and they had earned it. Just an hour or so to get back on their feet. Fengi had decided that they should instead use that hour to make a little something for a drill, or at least present the idea. Right, okay. You've done a very good job today. Minimal swearing. Okay, not minimal, but you have done good. All the beams are up, now it's just planks on the floor. Digging and walking in circles. Wonderful. A drill grumbled in return, though the dragon did seem at least a slight touch more respectful than normal, likely sensing there was a possible reward on the table. Saf didn't know if she agreed that the dragon had earned anything, but Fengi did have a point. They needed to both look nice and have something to take away. Maiko had learned that a drill wasn't exactly a fan of the cold wet grass outside. Hardly surprising, but he had promised he would sing a little tune to Fengi about working out something better. All they had to do was play along. Don't forget flying. Quillen said you're all good to go, so starting tomorrow we are going to have another go at those logs. Apparently Glira has promised to help with something else, but we thought... Remember the tarps we sort of ruined with our little logging expedition? Fengi carried on cautiously, like she was unsure how to word all this. How could I forget? The dragon responded, in a decidedly unimpressed tone, but Saf could tell she was at least a little curious where this was going. Well, we thought if we spanned that out from the wood barn, where we dry it all, you know, it would maybe make a decent awning to sleep under, even if you would have to duck. And don't knock the wood barn down, Sapphire added. That too. The old black looked at the 2 of them, eye narrowing. Are you trying to get me in trouble? Why, no, Fengi replied, taking a step back. Why do you say that? Saf knew she was telling the truth. Why would a dry place to sleep get you in trouble? Because if I shift in my sleep or wake with a start, I will at best rip the roof off that barn. Oh, right. I suppose it isn't that tall, Fengi admitted, looking to the small single-story barn. It was honestly one of the nicer buildings they had, but still, she could see the problem. Do you not have any rock anchors? A what now? Saf questioned. She didn't think she had ever heard of those before. For climbing equipment, I know you lot can all fly, but sometimes you need something heavy up high, and you don't have a dragon around. Don't you have any climbing kit? Tom does, Fengi responded truthfully. What do they look like? You gonna nick them off Tom? Saf broke out. That had not been the plan. They were just using random bits and pieces no one would miss and a bit of work, which Saf had agreed to help with. No, I would just ask him. I don't think he's going to need those again anytime soon, right? And I don't think we need to use any of his fancy rope. What, the super light soft stuff that could supposedly carry tons worth? No, I guess that would be overkill, Seth responded with a nod. Adril just huffed, likely not believing it. I'll go ask him. Just wait here or something, or go get the tarp, Fengi said, gesturing them both away as she turned around, wings spreading wide. I'll be back in a minute. Progress was good on the warehouse. The limit now was how quickly they could saw out planks. The beams were up, as were a lot of the roof frames. Turns out having 2 dragons on hand to hoist up the wood and hold it there made erecting what was essentially a glorified barn very swift indeed. Fengi had asked for some climbing anchors for some reason. Tom guessed it was to do with the construction. Maybe they wanted to make a hoist or something. Goz knew the old hoist on the keep was in disrepair, so they couldn't ransack that for supplies. He didn't see a problem with it, so he let her have free run of his box of climbing supplies. After a quick explanation of what everything was, of course, and a stern reminder not to dangle anyone from it, lest he had seen what they had done first. He didn't doubt their knot-tying skills for a moment, but she had picked out a pair of rock anchors, and those could be a little tricky to get in right. But with the roof frames nearly done, they would be waiting on planks for coverings and shingles. Tom couldn't do much to help with that. They hadn't even needed the quad to power the saw. The fuel they had distilled for the quad wouldn't be good for much longer though, else it would need to be redistilled, or at least have the settling water separated off. And so, he had elected to go fishing. He had a bucket, some different kinds of bait ranging from fragrant to repulsive, one homemade fishing rod and one Jackie. He had set up by the big lake. It was a bit further away, but it was prettier, and more importantly, it might hold some actually decent-sized fish. He had promised he would catch and cook one. With a little luck, today was the day. The hook was baited, the line cast, and with a sigh, Tom leaned back on the tree root belonging to the old gnarled oak they had set up next to. The trunk even worked as a backrest. Wonderful. So, do we just sit here? Jackie questioned, looking out over the quiet, calm lake from astride the quad. It was the calmest weather they had seen yet since the storm, with nary a jostle in the branches. Pretty much, yeah. It's quite relaxing, actually. If the bobber goes down, we've caught something, Tom replied, pointing out to the little red cork. It had come from some bottle, he didn't know. Kieran had found it and helped dip it in the red tail paint. It was remarkable how good claws were for paint dunking. They hardly stained at all, even if a polish might be needed to get rid of the red scratches. Silence reigned as Tom looked out over the water. So calm, so tranquil. He could feel himself relaxing. It had been ages since he had gone fishing. Normally it wasn't his sort of thing. Too boring. Right now, though, he could do with a little boring. Well, some boring that wasn't being stuck in bed, even if the company was very good. The tranquility lasted for some time, but it was not the cork bobbing in the shining silver water that broke the silence, or a songbird. It was Jackie. It's cold, she complained, shifting a bit on the quad as she laid herself over the handlebars. The engine isn't warm anymore. Not really. It is autumn, yeah. You could start a fire? Tom tried, hoping this wasn't about to be tone-setting for the little trip. He didn't want to be alone out here, not if he could help it. Sure, he could see the keep. That didn't mean they could help him if there truly was something nasty in the water. It's wet, Jackie countered mopingly. I thought I would have to save you from a lake monster or something, but nothing. It's only been 5 minutes, maybe 10. Why don't you try a fire? We got plenty of lighting fluid. I didn't bring any oil, Jackie questioned, seemingly not quite understanding. The quad, Jackie. There are litres worth of ethanol and gasoline in there. Oh, I'll get some wood, she quickly declared, hopping off the machine gracefully and setting to work creating a pile. Tom just chuckled a little and turned his attention back to the lake. The cork was still bobbing merrily, but he thought he saw rings further out. Something had breached the surface. I wonder if they have carp here. As he waited, he saw another few plops here and there out over the lake, the odd fly or mosquito coming a bit too close to the water for its own good. There are definitely fish out there. Come on, don't you want a little sausage? Here, fishy fishy. Jackie came back a few times, plonking down stacks of sticks and scratching a fire circle around them with her feet. Tom doubted it was needed, but she seemed to be running on autopilot as she whittled away at a small stick to carve thin strips into the end of it. A fire-lighting stick. Tom watched her work with a smile. She didn't even seem to pay him mind until she was done assembling the fire. "How do we get fuel back out of it?" Jackie questioned, as she plonked down next to him. "I'll handle that. You keep an eye on the cork?" Tom questioned as he got up, bringing the rod along. "It's still there," Jackie replied jokingly, peering out over the lake before taking the rod with a smile as Tom handed it over. He let out a reluctant chuckle as she walked up to the farming quad. He grabbed the jerry can, lashed to the rear rack. He'd never bothered to take it off since it might come in handy on the one day he forgot to top up before heading out. On the front rack they had a pair of baskets with picnic stuff. It might take a while after all. With Jackie watching the line, he splashed a bit of petrol on the woodpile and stepped well back. The frayed stick was dunked in the petrol, and the cap went back on. He looked to Jackie to confirm that she wasn't looking yet, which she wasn't. She seemed engrossed by the calm lake for now. Then, with a flick of the thumb, the lighter caught, and the burning stick was flung into the campfire. Whoosh! "What the fuck?" Jackie let out an alarm, turning to see the brief fireball and Tom laughing his ass off. "Oh, that ought to have scared the fishes." "You bastard!" Jackie laughed out, looking down at herself. "You better not have singed my tail." "Nope, still white. Though I think your arse is starting to look a bit like a creme brulee." "There better be something which looks delicious." "Oh, definitely. There's a right old snack." Jackie just sighed and shook her head, glancing to the fire. "Well, I suppose that is that sorted. Not much luck with this, though," she said, giving a bit of a tug on the line. "Yeah, let's reel it in and see if maybe the bait fell off." Winding the line back in was quite the hassle without a wheel, and even with Jackie helping, it turned into a mess anyway. And once the hook emerged from the water, there was indeed nothing left on it. "Oh, god damn it. I think you are feeding fish rather than catching them." "Shut up, you. I'm getting the stinky stuff." "Stinky stuff?" Jackie questioned, looking after him as he returned to the quad, fire snapping away happily, though it was throwing off quite a bit of smoke. "Yes, the potted beef. The stuff that had, like, liquid at the bottom and mold on top?" "Yup. Let's see if these things like it with a stink." "I ain't eating anything that willingly eats that." "I bet you a boar would eat this. You like boar, right?" "It's alright, I suppose," she countered half-heartedly. He knew damn well she loved the stuff. "Jesus fuck, it really does stink," Tom went, as he took off the impromptu lid. Jackie wrinkled her nose and held her head away as he set about getting it on the hook. It stunk like sludge, so at least it likely wouldn't fall off, even if it might wash off instead. And with the procedure complete, he went to wash his fingers in the lake water. "Oi, take your fishy stick, get that stuff away from me," Jackie demanded, holding the pole at arm's length, head stretched as far in the other direction as it would go. "Since when did you grow squeamish?" Tom laughed, shaking his hands dry as he went back to take the fishing rod. "Since I had to share a room with a human, you guys are the king of stink." "Hey, I don't smell like rotten beef, goddammit. Gods damn it, plural." Yeah, Lincosta," Tom replied, which put quite a sour face on Jackie as he walked back to the water's edge, laying out the line. And 1, and 2, 3. And back out the hook went, dragging the line behind it. "What, just because she went to the academy she's all smart and stuff?" Jackie, you know she's smart. Book smart. Ain't gonna ask her to tie a knot to save my life now, am I? Tom replied, looking back to the pouting Jackie, now that the line was cast. Wait, you ain't jealous, are you? No. But she better not start getting any ideas. Relax, Jackie, think back. Just what you have done for me in the last, what? God's how long it has been. A month? I can't even tell anymore. Do you know how rare it is to find someone willing to both fight the world and sit with you night after night? That's what you are supposed to do, isn't it? A couple sticks together. There is a world of difference between supposed to and reality, Tom went, lodging the rod in his little resting spot, and walking back over with his arms spread wide. Jackie let out a little huff, though she did crack a smile, as Tom embraced the far larger woman. For the record, those were some tough nights. Really tough. I know they were, thank you. You're welcome, she let out happily, nuzzling him close. Fuck, Tom, the thingy. The what? Tom questioned, looking up at her confused. The cork is gone. Fuck. He let go of Jackie, leaving her standing there as he hurried up to the rod, as he watched the line run out through the metal eyes. He snatched it up and held on tight, just as the line ran out. Right, got it. Whatever sort of fish it was yanked him clean off his footing, sending him sailing through the air into the shallow water. He landed with a splash as the line went slack for a moment, and he heard Jackie shout behind him as he fumbled to get up, not wanting to let go of the rod. Oh, you idiot, what are you doing? He could hear her feet splashing in the water as he finally got up. Well, I can't just let it go. What sort of fish is that? He called out as he started backpedaling, this time ready for a yank. Why are you asking me? Jackie wrapped her arms around him and held on tight as the line went taut again, though this time they were ready. They gave a little reluctant ground before starting to backpedal once more, soon getting back up onto shore and fighting with the creature all the while. To be honest, all Tom did was hold on to the rod, as Jackie lifted him off the ground to get back up onto the shore. Well, anything big enough to do that is definitely going to make dinner. If it's edible, what if it's just like a giant worm or leech or something? I'm sure it'll be just a big fish or something. Go to the tree. Let's just brace the rod. I'm surprised the hook hasn't come out yet. I'm impressed by that line, Jackie replied, as she tried to walk with her arms still wrapped around him. The fish pulled once more, and they both tumbled as their legs intertwined. Right. This is awkward. Tom still just held onto his rod, as Jackie found her footing once more, and got them both back upright. Could you be any more difficult to help? She complained, though she did make it to the tree, Tom bracing the rod against it. I try my best. So, what now? Tom chuckled, looking down at himself, dripping wet. Why do you keep asking me? She replied, joining in the chuckling. This whole thing was your idea.